We're just gonna roll with that.
Okay. That was
Anyway, I'm Pat.
I don't know where I'm Jeffrey. Yes.
So yeah, so everything is so F F F F F. So it's six colors or 6 digits. That's pure white, and then all zeros would be black.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
so.
So
Yeah,
it's
okay.
So yeah, if it's a pigment, yes, it's now the funny thing is now we can get into the really tricky shit where you say, well, what is an actual color? Well, that depends on how the light strikes it.
Right. I don't know, man. Like I said, I've been playing this car game, and I've been able to replicate just about any color car that I've ever had in it, just using the hex code. So, and actually pretty accurately, too, which is kind of striking. Even, like, if it's got, like, sparklies in it and stuff. So, I thought those were, like, different, but apparently not. Because it has to do with the way the light hits it, right?
When you say a sparkly, what do you mean?
Like a pearl white. It's got like a luminescent glow to it.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I can recreate it just using a hex code.
Well,
so yeah,
it's something I've never thought about until this very moment or researched. But
well, it's got letters in it too, and I wonder if those letters are like different sheens or something. I have no idea.
well, okay. So the weird thing about that, like. All right, so take that. This is just a theory here, but I mean, like, I would think that would have to do with something with the texture of the color, but I don't know. Like, say for example, okay,
Like it had grit in it.
well, I don't necessarily want to say a grit, but I mean, if you go to here, like if you look at something like this, you can see different shades of blue.
Yeah, sure.
Right on this little mouse pad here, right? It was all the same color once. Now, I understand that that's going to be, like, the result of, like, wear and stuff like that, but other things where you see, like, sparkly stuff in it, like, if you were to pick up a, let's say a diamond, for example, okay? So, if you pick up a diamond and it's cut, right? If you look at it head on, there's going to be sparks where it's completely white because the light is hitting it right there. Then there's going to be parts where it's clear and that kind of stuff. So I don't know if
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, where it's like the color is different based off of what it's hitting, the texture of that may be. So
I don't know. I don't, like I said, I don't know that much about it. So, but I've just been like recreating different hues. And so, like, I made something that was candy apple red, and it looks shiny. So, just using a hex code. So,
again, that's a weird thing because, like, the other thing that I'd be curious on is, like, so again, that's something that you could see on a car would be like a matte versus a shine finish.
yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look into it because
I don't know.
you can definitely make matte cars in it, but there's not something that, you know, you type in matte. So it's different hex code.
Well, wait a second. Okay, so I think part of that might... See, this is a tough one because I know that could be a different component because, like, saturation is going to be a part of this. So say, for example, yeah, when you're painting your walls, you do more than one coat, and you can tell the spots where there's...
Huh. Yeah, that might be it too.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. But,
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. My dad, when he was happily in retirement, he ran the paint mixer at Lowe's for a couple of years. If he was still alive, I'd ask
Probably
him.
going to kick that too.
If he did, he loved it. So he absolutely loved
It
it.
was a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was after Sears laid him off from his dream job of being the tool guy.
So that is the retirement position.
He loved that job. So yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you need a 5/16 for that. You know, you can get a crescent wrench, but
like,
you know, you got to get the right tool for the job.
yeah.
So and him selling Craftsman tools was something he probably should have done 40 fucking years before that.
I'm finally helping people. Yeah.
Yeah, finally helping people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I gotcha. I'll have to look into that. And the problem is I don't I don't know the term upon which to look it up. So this is going to be like some kind of this is going to be a rabbit hole.
It might be a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So I didn't go that far down that rabbit hole. So it was just interesting. So
take a little note of that.
take little notes, yeah. Take notes. There was something I was supposed to take notes on. What the fuck was it?
I don't know.
I don't remember either. There's something I was supposed to talk. I should go back and listen to the last episode where everything was full.
Well, I know that when we were sort of wrapping up there, I know that you were catching me up on military stuff in...
Oh, Ukraine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's gotten deeper. So, but not much deeper. So just more interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I was looking at that a little bit today. Not too much. Trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with Gaza. I can't hear anything. There's not much out there on it right now.
Not that I've seen, but
Yeah.
you know, I haven't been actively looking for it.
Well, yeah, it hadn't popped up on my radar for a little bit, so I actually went and did some digging for it today.
Yeah.
So there's not much, man. So yeah.
No, the big news out of that region is basically awaiting Iran's, response, but they haven't done shit.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't think they are.
Yeah, I agree. So there was definitely like a little bit of like, oh my God, the great Islamic State is going to strike us back now, and it's like, okay,
No, you're gonna catch a fucking ass whooping.
you're going to
like
catch
you've
a
done.
beat down, man.
Like ever since that state was basically cut loose in 48, it's like every time that you guys have started shit, you got it pushed in pretty hard.
Yeah.
So much to the point where Egypt, being a major aggressor in those previous ones, wouldn't dare at this point.
Oh
It
no!
was just
After
like,
'73, they were like, "We're good.
it was like
We're cool.
we're out of this pack.
Yeah.
It was like that was dumb.
Yeah. In fact, you guys can keep Gaza. It's fine. So we don't want.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah. So that I think because Iran's been kind of like wolfing and talking all this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Wolfie.
yeah.
Like through the fence. Whoa.
Kind of, man. And that is the thing is if you're actually going to go out there and kick some ass, you just do it. You don't bark over the fence all fucking day.
Yeah.
You don't because you don't need to.
No, you don't. Yeah. Yeah, so that was basically the gist of what I found today. So, I don't know. It sounds like the Gaza pronoun people have chilled out a little bit.
Absolutely not. They fucking tore after.
Who'd they go after now?
In New York, after a Harris party, they fucking tore the place up.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Just
Party?
yes,
Like-
it was a common Harris
Just
party,
friends, or...
I don't know
Like
the
an
full
actual
details of the
fundraiser
party.
or-
I was looking
okay.
at the footage, and yeah, they fucking tore the place up. So, just
Was it like a hotel or a restaurant or something? Or
it looked like a restaurant, but I'm
okay.
sure I scrolled past it, but I was just like, that's just it. But just you told me that
surprise me.
you told me to ask my friend here about
Oh, yeah.
her situation. All right, so this is her major concern. She sent me this picture here. So she's a little bit bothered right now because her family
Oh yeah,
is there.
yeah. That's the next state over.
That is correct.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, so they haven't pushed that far. I mean, those states are bigger than they look. So, we're not talking like New England size here. You're talking like Ohio size. So, we're not bigger than that. So, in some of those cases,
In some of those cases, but they're still
Yeah.
kind of.
they're pretty close. Yeah.
There's a lot of empty space in between.
There is a lot of empty space. Yeah.
Like there's this thing, and I had a fucking like yapping Euro talking about this shit, and
Like yapping what on Twitter?
yeah, it was somebody that was
The
talking
X,
about
sorry.
yeah, dude, I don't care what you call it. It's
Just go back to Twitter, man.
I think dude, the fact is at this point what's weird is you have the mind share for both, so fuck it.
Well, like Twitter's almost like Kleenex, man. It's almost its own brand. I mean,
Well,
so, like the product is the brand,
Well, exactly, because yeah, the actual end service you offer is called the tweet.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, it's still called a
That's
tweet.
actually even different than Kleenex, where what you get is still a tissue.
Right, but everybody just calls them Kleenex.
It's just the brand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You don't talk about posts, you talk about tweets. Still, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
But anyway, yeah, and I can't remember what corny ass name they have on Threads. They're called I don't know,
twigs.
Yeah, twigs, fucking strings. Plots. I don't know. It's just some ghetto knockoff shit. Yeah, so it was that same thing that we talked about where they were bagging on U.S. people for it's like, oh, you're not as well traveled as we European people are. It's like, look, I'm not going to argue with you as far as the merit of visiting another country, but it was the same thing as before. I'm like, oh man, it's like this country, not the continental part,
right,
is as big as your continent, right?
If we even want to still call it a continent, yes,
correct,
so,
yeah. Now, I'm not even talking about that big ice patch up there with all the fucking dead stuff underneath.
What?
Alaska, man, it's got tons and tons.
I thought you were talking about Europe.
No. Yeah, I'm not even talking about the stuff that you're just measuring for size. And I was like, look, you can go your entire lifetime and not see half of what's in this country.
Yeah, that's true.
And not have to learn French or German to do it. So I was like, I'm not trying to give you a hard time, man. It's just like, you got to understand how much bigger this place is than where you're used to. Now,
it's huge.
I also understand, like, this is the same thing
huge.
Where if, say, for example, you never left the borders of Massachusetts. Got it.
Okay, yeah, you're fine.
Got it.
Yeah,
got it.
You're Southie, born and bred.
Totally.
You're gonna die in Southie. Yeah, got it.
Absolutely. Yeah. If that's the same thing, then yeah, that would be like you fucking like never leaving, like, I don't know, Northumberland. I don't know, just whatever the thing is. Like, if you're just like trapped in that area, okay, I gotcha. But I mean, if you come out to like California is not Washington, is not Oregon, is not.
No, it's totally different. Yeah. No,
I mean, it's near water, so it must be like Maine. It's like,
and like being as well traveled, I don't think it's as important as it was when we were kids. If you knew a guy who'd been to like 3 different continents, it's like, oh, cool, kind of thing. It's like, tell me about Australia. It's all Crocodile Dundee. So they're like, absolutely not. That's like the worst thing. So, and it's like, oh, okay. I wouldn't have known that without that. But now, like. It's like, how much do you really need to try? I mean, does actually going to a place, especially if it's a shithole place, so, like, does it really matter as much as it used to? I don't even know about that anymore.
Well, it's not even a question of, like, shithole or anything like that. It's a question of exposure. I mean, again, it's a...
Well, I thought that was the idea behind exposure, is you expose yourself to things that are different than your own experience, right? And so, for anybody in America, if you actually want to experience something, you should go to some place that's shitty. So, right?
Yeah, but you can find that right here in the good old U.S. of A.
Right, you can go to Kentucky. Well, parts of it are really nice, but some of it is not. So, yeah.
We live in Colorado. There are places in Colorado. We have a if we want to see Venezuela right now, we can go to Aurora, where the. I presume you've been reading about this.
No, I have not. I tried the other day to catch up on the Britain thing, and it's just it's a mailstorm that I can't stick my finger into. It's a
Gordian knot, a fucking nonsense.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'll read the long version later.
It's the question at this point here is how are all right. I don't know who said this. This is a famous quote, but I don't know who said it. It's basically, you don't want white people to riot.
Oh, okay? A lot of people have said that.
Yeah. That's why I don't know who it's attributed to. But basically, that's the thing is they're getting awfully goddamn close to that point, and that's where they're trouble. But to get to our original point, yeah, you can find shitty places here in the States.
Sure.
In order to get perspective, I mean, as you and I both have done, we have visited Indian reservations.
Some of them are very nice.
Some.
The big ones are not.
How about the others?
They're distinctly not, Jeff.
Tell me about the mid Indian reservation.
The mid-Indian reservations?
Yeah, the one that was like, well, this is okay. I could
Navajo reservation's not bad. So it's you can tell it's different. So
I would say that's good.
Yeah, but it's definitely poor whenever you go to any gas station and there are 10 people hanging out there all trying to sell you tchotchke stuff.
Tchotchke shit. Fucking like, and you get into the living areas and there's just so many like
they're all trailers.
Busted up like fucking cars on cinder blocks.
Well,
and shit.
yeah,
like,
but that's kind of common in the desert. I'd say that there's more on the reservation, so the car per yard, you know, like
the ratio
goes up
fucking,
just a tick,
yeah.
but it's not like driving, you know, through South Dakota and you hit the Pine Ridge. You know, that place is just a third world country.
Yeah.
So and you've been there a lot more. I've only been there once, man. It left an indelible impression upon me.
Hey, dude, I was on.
And that was a long time ago, man. That was a long time ago. So,
brother, I was on reservations where they were getting a cut of oil money, and it still wasn't.
Yeah, it still wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it was still. Like, it's
that was something that I found out the other day. That
what?
kind of like, so they were talking. So you always had this narrative about like, you know, alcohol is what ruined, you know, the Native American pot. They were fucking drunk all the time.
Yeah.
Before then,
Yeah.
So I saw this whole thing on the different types of alcohol that, you know, Native Americans used to make, and particularly in Mexico. Like, the Aztecs had like 19 different types of booze. You know? Yeah, anyway. So that was kind
crazy,
of
isn't it?
No, it was like, okay, that makes sense, you know, because fucking monkeys ferment fruit, you know, for crying out loud. So that makes sense. You know, but it was like, it was a piece of like a little bit of history that had been whitewashed that I was like, oh yeah, you idiot. You know? So anyway.
Well, okay, now that's not to say, okay, so you and I both know that if let's take you and your scout troop, for example, or something like that. It's just I'm taking a small manpower group, right?
Okay.
You and I both know that basically making booze out of a small group like that is difficult, right?
It depends on it depends on what you have.
It depends on what you have,
Yeah, but you can do it.
But that being said, if you are well versed in what you're doing, as Europeans were, and manufacture this much better, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing: there's no secret to the fact that they were able to basically flood these people with this shit, right?
Sure.
Because they were making it faster and frankly better.
Well, and it was cheap.
Yes.
It was cheap.
Right.
So.
But that absolutely is not to say that, like, oh, well, we've never seen this before. What is this?
No. Yeah. No, it was cheap. So, anyway.
I mean, and it did fuck them up, but
it did.
That being said, yeah, because you were talking about basically like, and we knew guys like this. So when you're talking about dudes that were well traveled, right? So first and foremost, I would think guys like your dad and my dad. Oh, you guys must have served, right?
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So I think that they both had like. Dad had the map with the pins in it that said, I've been here.
Yeah, my dad had one of those
he had
too.
something like that. So when he showed me the places that he'd been, I was like, here? Like, Greenland?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like...
My dad went to Thule.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And I was like, is it really the biggest continent? I was like, no.
No.
Yeah, but...
it's called Mercator.
Yeah. But...
it's not the size of Africa.
Right. I was like... Was there anything to do there? It's like, no.
No, nothing.
No.
That was one of the two places my dad said he'd never go back to. So, Truly was one, and the other one was Diego Garcia. He said he would never ever go back
Diego
there.
Garcia, and
it's in the middle of nowhere, India Ocean. It's just a piece of land that we yoinked from the British after World War II. Basically said it's going to make a great Navy base, and so. Like, yeah,
okay.
Stars.
Okay.
They actually did round up all the locals and force them off the island. That actually did happen.
Wait a second. Those people famously got paid for that, if I recall.
No, you're thinking of the guys in Bikini. So where they dropped the bomb,
right.
they got paid.
Okay, that's right.
They got paid.
So like, you cannot be.
No, you cannot be here anymore. So.
You won't be.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's right. Okay, yeah. And so when I knew dudes that were like well traveled back in the day, and yeah, your dad probably hit all the same spots. Like been to Italy, been to
Yep.
been to Germany, many places in Germany.
Yep.
Of course, Korea famously.
My dad went to Korea many times.
Yep.
Guam.
Okinawa.
Okinawa. Dad loved Okinawa. He would go back there any chance that he could. So on TDY, he would be like, "I'm out." So
My dad had merch from Okinawa.
my dad did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I found my first like Japanese sandalwood fan. So
Yeah.
only later I realized was tchotchke touristy.
Absolutely,
You know, yeah.
tchotchke touristy shit. You know why? Because all this the merch my dad had the word Okinawa on
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not written in Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that was my first impression.
Got a rock that says Colorado.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you found that one in the wild, huh? You know, nice. You know?
Bro, somewhere from Yellowstone, we have this card, this paper card with all of the different types of like stones that you cut from there.
Yeah.
And Will and I thought it was the coolest thing on the planet. And to be fair, I still think it's kind of cool. Like if you're gonna get like merch from a place like this, that's actually a better pull than
I used to have a thing for maps. So, like, you know, you go to like Disneyland to give you the drawn map, but it's not like to scale. It's kind of cartoony. I had tons of those.
Did you?
Whenever I went to like a campground and they had something like that, or you go to the Royal Gorge, you could get one like that, or you know, like you go to Chicago and they got one, you know, and it's got like Al Capone machine gunning guys, and it's like this is where the kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was like a Where's Waldo, but always a map. I used to when I was a little kid, I wanted to grow up to draw them.
They still make those.
They kind of do, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're a little bit harder to find, but that was my thing.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Well, I had a thing where I gave up on it. I would always like rip off salt shakers from everywhere that I went.
I remember you doing that. Yeah.
That was a thing. But the other thing was if they weren't like military guys that were well traveled, I always presumed that they were some kind of scholar, like they were some kind of you know. So when you'd have the people that actually, because you know, for as much as it was like when Dad was traveling, like unless it was a place he was stationed for a long time. So I guess he loved Italy. That's where he was there long enough to buy an Alfa Romero and fucking drive it, speeding like crazy everywhere. Eventually he abandoned it because I guess at the time it was like, getting this thing to the States is going to be a big
way expensive.
problem.
Yeah, you don't get a free one anymore, or now like you do nowadays.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And he told me something about like about the street worthiness of a European car. I didn't know the story. I was like, damn.
I wouldn't want to play bumper cars with Ford 150s in the 1970s, though. So an Alfa Romero.
No.
So or bring home an MG or something like that. You'd be dead.
Well, yeah, I know. But yeah, but if you weren't one of those people, I would presume that you were like over there studying. You were, you know, doing something like that. Oh, you've been to Australia.
Or you were just rich. So
That's the other
I knew
one.
some people who were like the people who grew up. Well, they were gone by the time I was a little bit older. But the original people who lived across the street from my parents up there, they were quite wealthy. They used to travel all the time.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, "Where you been?" "Oh, we just got back from Greece," and that was back in the like, wow, whoa,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So now, like, you know, my students are like, "Oh, I'm going to Greece this summer." It's like, great.
Yeah, that's the thing is the process. Again, I don't want to say it's been cheapened because in many ways it's a better place, but I mean, again, we're on such a big fucking, you know, continent that we were there. We've seen accents like die in our lifetime. We've seen that exposure to other places.
They're all dying.
Yeah, like again, you know, like I said here, it's like I had cousins on the West Coast, right? And what they were listening to and doing was way different than what I was doing here in Colorado.
It's not like that anymore.
And that's the thing is replace West Coast with Germany, with Russia. Like,
it's the same thing, man.
everybody sees the same thing, and they basically just filter it into their own system. And occasionally what happens is, like, stimulus goes into a region. Like, so when hip hop fully invaded like Asia, right?
Right.
It's not, you would not necessarily call this rap per se that came out. Like, it's not the same thing,
No.
but there's elements of it where it's like, boy, that's different. That's a different sound because you're filtering it through something like completely different. But at the same time, they're listening to the same thing, and we can listen to the same thing they are.
And many people do. Yeah.
Like, the idea that fucking, you know, gaijins are watching like Korean dramas and stuff.
Yeah.
And finding this fascinating. I'm like, this is the shit that my mom, like, what she would do, because over there at the Korean market, not this one, but there used to be another one down south, right? Because those people still had families in Korea. What those people would do is they would tape the Korean dramas.
And then sell them.
They wouldn't sell them. You'd
borrow
rent
them. Oh, there you go. That's nice.
And Mom would come home with a stack of VHS tapes like this, with black marker labels,
right? Yeah,
with some kind of hieroglyphics that I couldn't read.
Written in the mood speak.
and she would be, to me, like, she would be watching the most boring shit on the planet. But I mean, that's the thing is, again, like the fact that is actually like a worldwide phenomenon now is unreal.
Well, that and apparently Mexican soap operas. So that is something that you can get in Uzbekistan. So, you know, because it's just broadcast. It's one of the few things that's actually broadcast, basically license free throughout the world. And so I saw this thing on this the other day.
I believe
where these guys, you know, they're like in fucking Mongolia or something, and they're all up to speed on fucking, you know, Spanish or Mexican specifically, you know, teledramas. So yeah. So there you go, man. So you got a great export there.
It's wild. So I mean, yeah. So when you talk about the need to be well traveled, it's not the same. I mean, you and I would both agree that there is a value in it. There is something where, just in the same way, like you and I were talking about this other day, like I have to win the lottery.
Right, yeah. Otherwise my children are going to starve. Yeah.
Well, Daddy can't provide for them if he doesn't have any food in his belly. So yeah,
that's true.
But
let's pick out the weak one. Oh, are we doing fireworks?
Some fucking asshole is.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's the thing is, unless you have that perspective to be like, fuck, I am down in the dumps right now in terms of this, you don't know. You know, and I'm not saying this is...
In terms of what? Being poor?
Yeah.
Oh.
In terms of, like, having that perspective of, like, you learn something. You learn at that point, like...
Yeah, I think it's more important to be poor for a little bit in your life than it is to be well-traveled.
I agree.
So, I think it's more important to be a little bit better read. So, honestly.
Well, this is the...
I know, I'm not going to... You're not going to... I know I'm not going to get any arguments from you.
Yeah,
exactly.
How
So
dare you.
now on, but... you know, rather than being well-traveled in some respects. I don't know, though, man. If I lived in a different country, that might be different for me, though. So, you know, and, like, especially if you're European, where you can literally hop on the train and be in France in 45 minutes, and then be in, you know, the Netherlands in 20 more minutes. Okay, then, yeah, I guess you don't have an excuse. That'd be like me never going to Denver. You know? So, yeah, that'd be kind of like, well, it's just right there. Why didn't, you know, you just take an afternoon, man. You know, and that's different than what I always saw as being travel. Because, like, travel when I was a kid, even though we did it all the time, you know, it was A, a big fucking deal. So, B, it was a chore. So, I mean, it wasn't like today where, like, you get on Travelocity and you book your hotel and your car and your flight and, you know, you get all your points and all that shit.
Yeah.
You have to call around. You have to go through the travel agency. You'd have to, like, look through all the brochures. You'd have to make sure you can get ripped off. You know, there's all kinds of shit. So that was completely different. So that's why, you know, back then, like, my godparents, they were big cruisers. They would go on cruises, like, every maybe like every 6 months or something.
The ones from New York?
No. They were up in Denver.
Oh, okay.
My godparents.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and they, you know, but the reason why they did that is because they're sort of seasoned travelers. that they were like, this is actually easy, and you get to see a lot of places without doing all that planning. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. But they were extremely well traveled, but that's because they both worked for the airlines. They'd go to Hong Kong every year. So, that was their favorite place. And so they'd go back there every single year. This was way before, this was, it was still very British. Yeah.
Until you cross that invisible boundary.
You were not allowed to go across that.
Correct.
Yes, you were not allowed. So they would point you out as, hey, Whitey, you don't belong over here. Oh, my bad. So, yeah.
It's funny because you go straight from, like, the White Dynasty Quarter, and all these places with distinctly British names.
Oh, yeah.
And then suddenly...
Suddenly. Well, there's a bridge. There's a bridge.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a causeway. Yeah. But they were probably the most well-traveled people that I knew because they would go all over the place. But, one of the things, they didn't have any kids, so they could do that.
Yeah.
Just about everybody I knew growing up had, like, all the families had kids. So now it's, like, not even, it's, like, maybe half. Maybe. So,
Well, and that's a discussion in and of itself. It really is.
I think I'm just associating with different people. When you grow up on a street full of kids,
yeah.
So, but when you actually get out there and you kind of mix it up with a bunch of different people, then, but I remember, like, even early in my career, the people who didn't have kids were kind of rare. So you had, like, one or two that were, like confirmed bachelors or...
widowers or
something like that.
You'd have stuff like that. Yeah. You'd also have the occasional one where it was like one of those things that you didn't talk about. Like, so if like you'd talk about your aunt or something and say oh, she didn't have any kids, and they're like, nope. It's like, why not? And then, like, the room would go silent because you could tell that there was, like, something medical or something fucked up.
Yeah, something, she got beat by her first husband.
Or like, you'd be like, oh, she miscarried. Don't.
Oh, yeah, miscarried, like, 3 times, and they stopped trying. Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Don't
talk about that, yeah. But I don't know, man. I mean, that might just be...
Fucking knock it off or I'm calling the cops!
Live radio.
Anyway, please, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So, but I don't know. I was looking into that a little bit. I think it's a little bit overstated, So it was just, your experience growing up as a kid and being in that age group. You didn't see that many people who didn't have kids because they wouldn't live on your street.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So I think, the doom of Western civilization is somewhat overstated. So. I mean,
it is something that we have to come to terms with. I mean, so this is something that's being like kind of like, this is a political point that's being bounced around a little bit, where they're talking about expanding the child credit to like $5,000.
I hate that.
Why do you hate that?
It's that, like, of all the things that were the most inflationary during COVID, that one was the number one. Because like I was getting checks that I didn't need, so at that time, so like your first batch of COVID bucks, that was a little bit different, and it was like, okay, fine. And that caused a little bit of inflation. But most of you people use that money to pay off debt.
Right.
So, if you
so that went straight back.
If you actually take a look at debt loads, so...
It's the last fucking warning! Knock that shit off right now!
How far away are they?
I hear one more fucking firework and the cops are coming out here! Not even one fucking more!
Long, awkward pause.
No, you keep talking.
I'm okay. So, I'm just waiting for the next firework, and then we'll, I guess, pause the episode.
Gonna go pause it.
All right.
Do me a... Oh, okay.
Unpaused.
All right, so we're back.
We're back.
Does it show the time on there?
It does not. It just picks right back up where we left off.
Okay.
So I'd always use the stop button before, and then we had to stitch the episodes together,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
So if I had noticed that there was a pause button there, I wouldn't have had to do that. So
I think we're okay, though.
yeah, we're okay.
All right.
So,
Cool.
cool.
All right.
So what the fuck were we talking about?
We were talking about, if I can get back to the notes here. We were talking about like traveled people at first, and we were talking about like reading, and there was no argument that people needed to read more.
Oh, right. Well, I don't really... Yeah, no, we're not going to argue about that.
That was where like we were talking about the different like cultural things about like the importance of like being broke is something that is like a unique experience that people should have. And in the same way, like if
Yeah, you don't even need to be poor. You just need to be broke. So
you don't understand,
yeah.
just
like if you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from at least once, you should.
it's and look, and if you never have to, then great, that's fantastic. But it gives a lot of perspective. I mean, because some other people, like again, these are guys that I worked with, like you and I have like grown a zucchini or two in our yard, but we never grew up on a farm. We never had
No, never
you know,
got that bad. Yeah.
And some people have said like it's something where if you've grown your own food or done your own
Right.
you know, livestock, you have a different perspective. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah. No, I've never had anything more fancy than a small vegetable garden, but that was not
Right.
for sustenance. That was just for funsies. So
I mean, you got some cool stuff out of there. Don't get me wrong.
I did, yeah, but yeah, like that, and like I mean, there's a couple other things. Like if you've never, like I wouldn't recommend this, but if you've never been to a jail, so yeah.
What do you want to say about that?
Jeff, I went to
Visit a jail.
I taught a couple classes out of the prison once, and I only visited twice because that's how it worked. One of them was for proctored exams. So, and I'm sorry, Doug, I'm in the way. So, but just like actually seeing people who are, oh, here she comes. Yeah. Actually seeing people who are actively incarcerated.
Yeah.
It kind of puts a little bit of a different perspective on things. So, yeah. You know, it's like, wow, okay, I don't want to, I will never, ever, you know, rob a bank.
Right.
For funsies. Right. Yeah. So, or knowing somebody with, so I've known a lot of people who served time. So, over the years, a lot. So, you know, they do have a different perspective. So, just talking to someone like that would be good. So,
what about, I guess I would.
Or the same thing with someone who served in the military.
I was going to say that, like, military or some kind of civil service or something like that.
Military in particular, especially if you didn't really want to do it. So
yeah, but you wanted to do it and you were not allowed to do it.
Yeah, I know, but that I wouldn't trust my opinion if someone later, you know, if you run into somebody who just absolutely loves the military.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then later on it's just like they get out and they turn into, you know, it's like, well, I played in the big leagues for 3 years.
Right.
That defines their entire experience kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. No, I gotcha. I mean, I don't know. I don't. You could make the argument at this point for like some kind of mandatory military service.
The last people who would want that would be the military. So, absolutely positive.
Seems like a pain in the ass.
No, they've been pretty emphatic about that ever since Vietnam, that we don't want draftees. So they'd rather have a smaller military.
Oh, voluntary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I've met so many people who are like, just adamantly opposed to that. Not because they don't want to get drafted, it's because they don't want losers in the army. So, yeah. And they, I mean, they're having trouble recruiting. So
Yes, they are.
well, and the reason why they're having trouble recruiting is because their standards are fucking ridiculous in some cases. They can afford to be picky. So, like, you can't go in if you have a tattoo. So, you know, come on.
Well, I mean, at the age of 18, you shouldn't.
I get that, but does that mean that you can't hump a pack? No.
Well, people get tattoos in the military all the time.
Yeah, absolutely they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know. But if you get a tattoo and if it's like below your cuff or something, that you're fucking disqualified, you know. So if they're really serious about about manpower shortage.
Okay, yeah,
you know, and I mean, like, so the Army's got a fat camp now, so they'll send people to fat camp. They do fine in that, so they get through it, and then, you know, because like 9 times out of 10, it's just like, hey, what do you eat? It's like, I eat Cheez-Its and Ding Dongs. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's get you 3 squares and 2 miles on the track every single day.
Yeah,
you're gonna peel off the pounds. So
yeah.
You know, it's just that you don't live in a structured environment, which is exactly what the Army does.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and like the Navy had a requirement that they dropped recently. I can't remember what it was, but it was another one of those things. It's fixable. So, you know,
Was it the hold on?
oh, it was, you didn't have to have your high school diploma. So yeah, so you could actually be a dropout, which used to be the thing. If you had a GED, you couldn't enlist. So,
okay.
But if you had a diploma, if you didn't have a diploma, now the Navy's like, well, we'll do your GED prep for you for like 8 weeks or something like that, and if you pass, you're in. You know, it's like okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, so that's a lot of it. And I mean, a lot of it is it's manpower intensive thing. So, you know.
If I recall, I don't know if this has changed. I believe there is a branch of service that'll let you have a beard.
All of them will if you get a you can get a waiver. You can get a shave waiver. So
well, that's one thing, but like I know that it used to be like I think the Navy would let you have a beard.
Oh yeah, back in the 1800s, everybody had beards. So yeah,
like I mean,
bro, that's a World War II thing, man.
Yeah.
That's a World War I, World War II thing where they, you know, everybody shape up and blah blah blah, you know, buzz cuts and things like that. But no, you can't have a beard if you're in the Army or the Marine Corps or the Navy. I think you can if you're in the Air Force.
Not when my dad was there.
No, not when my dad was there either.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think you can now. Well, in all those services, you can have a mustache.
Right.
So yeah. But you can't have. I think I saw that they were talking about that somewhere, but like the Army was particularly resistant to it because everybody would instantaneously go to beards and Ray-Bans. So, and they're like, you guys all look like that when you get out anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I know.
And that'll never happen in the Marine Corps.
No, because that's different.
It will
And that's
cease to
supposed
exist
be
before they let people have beards.
I know firefighters aren't allowed to have beards.
They are not. No.
They can have a mustache.
You can have huge mustaches.
Well, not huge.
Oh, no.
It has to end at your lips.
No, no. It depends on what you do as a firefighter.
If you're a firefighter, you have to.
No, if you drive the truck, you can have one. So, yeah.
Well, if you a big one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I know. Well, so in any place where they rotate, then that's not going to work. So.
Well, if you don't rotate jobs in a firehouse.
Yeah, you do.
Not the ones that I know about. So.
So in like big cities, you rotate.
I don't know about that in other big cities, but I know the fire department here, once you become the guy who drives the truck, that's what you do. So
yeah,
I don't know about it.
So yeah, in other places. So I guess this is common in a lot of other big cities. Is everybody rotates jobs for their tours. So you're going to be doing that. They assign that so that everybody gets experience, right?
Yeah.
But they do have I don't think it's a captain. I think it's lieutenant.
I don't know.
Basically, that's the person who's a step up. He's the one that is in charge of that house, and they all report to like the chief.
I have no idea.
I think that's the rank on that. But yeah, so
I think it's probably different from city to city. So I have no idea. I know here that if you get promoted to drive the truck, that's what you do now.
Oh no, that's fine, and that's not to say that it's all places, but a lot of places do that so that everybody gets experience doing all the other jobs. And I'll bet you, like for like driver, I'll bet you that's one that you eventually, like, you still let other people do it because they need to get experience in it too.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know. I actually know a few people here associated with the fire department, and here it's like that goes to a senior guy who's been specially trained.
Yep.
And so, no, they don't let everybody do that. So,
but they gotta let other people do it from time to time because they have to learn.
You do that in training. So you don't do that while you're actually on the job. They pull you out so that you go to training for that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know about other departments, but here it's like,
and if you have to wear if you have to wear a mask, yeah, your mustache has to be inside.
Well, I know they don't do that here. So, because over at the yacht club, they do the tapping every single year and they have a mustache contest. So,
are they wearing masks?
I don't know. They're firefighters.
Well, that's what I was saying. If you're wearing masks.
Couldn't tell you. So, no idea. So, but one of the guys, he's got a Yosemite Sam kind of thing. So, he doesn't wear a mask.
Is he up there? Is he
I don't know. He doesn't look that old. So he's there every single time they do it, though. So he might be a lieutenant or something. I have no idea. I have no idea. So, but he's got a very, very impressive handlebar mustache. So, and it's red too. So
yeah, because the hard rule on that is supposed to be if it breaks the seal of the mask,
well,
you're not supposed.
The mask is around your whole face, so for some of them, I know that. So maybe
for that kind.
It's not like a surgical mask. That's
well, no, they have those too. I mean, that's
I don't know. I don't know anything about their equipment. So other than the fact that I've seen the one that
you're talking about, the Halligan.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Yeah. So yeah,
you're talking about the thing that looks like a weird pickaxe.
No, I'm talking about the mask.
Oh,
yeah, the mask. Oh. So, because it's almost like a fucking diving helmet, you know.
Kind of.
Yeah, but your hat's got
like
on top of it. Yeah.
It's like half that and like half Darth Vader-y. It's
very Darth Vader-y. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. So
kind of like the things that you remember, like in Terminator 2 when the SWAT team shows up.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, no. There's a lot more firefighters in this town than you think. So at first I thought there were a lot more cops. It's the other.
Let me guess.
It's the other way
around. Let me guess. All right. So if I were to guess, like, do you have an idea of how many are in the city?
In this city?
Yeah.
No, but I know how many stations there are. So
okay. So all right.
I don't know how many there are per station.
Do a little mental math and just like do a pick a number like 10 or something per station or whatever.
Oh, it's more than that.
Okay, 15, 20.
I would say 30.
All right. Do that little mental math right there, and I'm just going to try and take a guess at like how many firefighters we would have. And are we also part volunteer or no?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
All right. I would say that we have 30 stations.
That's pretty close. I think it's 22.
22?
So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that would be...
And we have 3 police stations.
Well, it's funny. It's just like when you call for like help, it's always the police or the firefighters who get there first.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So, in fact, our firefighter, they were supposed to expand it quite a bit because they were going to take over from the hospital guys, the AMR, the ambulance drivers.
Oh, right.
So, but they actually shot that down at city council a couple of weeks ago. So, we were supposed to like triple the size of our fire departments or whatever. And they said, "Oh, that's going to be expensive, so don't do that."
Well, I guess that's I don't know. Do we have like a real problem with fire around here? I mean,
no, nobody has problems with fires. So ever since like the 80s,
yeah,
building codes and so. But your firefighters almost anytime you call out an ambulance, a fire truck will go too. Yeah. So, and I don't know why that is. There's a safety rule about it or something. I don't know. So,
I think. Don't quote me on this, but I think it's because only the firefighters have certain, especially like with car accidents, they're the only ones that
Oh
have
yeah, you're right.
equipment to
Yeah,
deal
they
with
do.
it. I
Yeah,
think that's
you
it.
might be right. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Actually, there was another thing. You know, because we did ask. So when those fucking jerk-offs hit the boxes back behind my house, okay, so the firefighters had to do a different job out there because not only that, they're the ones that have to check off and say, like, the area's safe.
Oh, okay, got it.
So, like, that dude, he had, like, broken batteries and stuff because that was shit that he had in his car, and they're the ones that have to check off.
Got it. Yeah, but even when my mom fell and broke her hip and had to call 911, firefighters came. Even though there was no battery or...
No, I don't...
They just always come whenever the paramedics get called.
Well, because
Unless it's not an emergency.
Well, because all those guys, all three of those groups are all EMTs, right? Or they're all trained on.
Yeah.
So my understanding is with that is so whoever can get there first.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I believe that's the case. I think somebody told me that, but I know that, like, with the equipment, that is something that, like,
You're right.
fucking ambulance ain't gonna open this thing up.
No, yeah. Yeah, but a fire truck ain't gonna take a stretcher to the hospital either. So it actually makes sense that both of them show up. Got it. Yeah. So, but no. So, like, I think, like, I was asking. So I know someone who's pretty high up in the fire department. I was asking her. I haven't seen her in a little while. It's probably been about 8 months last time, and she said that we had close to, like, I think it was like 650 firefighters in this town, and we only have like
650.
That's a lot. It seems like a lot, but we only have like 600 cops, and not all of those are full-time cops. So, and you're talking about a community that's got 600,000 people in it.
Yeah.
Cops are actually pretty fucking rare. You know,
It's funny too.
Yeah, they seem like they're everywhere. So,
well, it seems like they're everywhere, but the other thing is, like, if you actually go to the police station,
yeah.
It's not like the beginning of RoboCop where there's fucking, like, people everywhere. They're, like, screaming and there's, like, shit going on like crazy. It's like
quiet.
a madhouse. It's quiet, and there are cops there.
Lots of them. It's the beehive, man.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is it's not that you jump in there and they're just, like, rushing out the door like one emergency to the other. That's kind of...
It's fewer than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sheriff's department is a little bit bigger, but they're spread out all over the place. So, from what I understand, they have a lot more volunteers. So, this is why the city has those volunteer guys who roll around in the green cars.
Right. Those are volunteers?
Yeah, those guys are all volunteers.
Those fucking narcs.
They're all volunteers, man. So, that's what happens when you retire from the military and, you know, you want to make a couple extra, like, contributions to your community and write off some community service hours. So,
Okay.
that's what you do. You go around and you write people tickets for not mowing their weeds. Those are often the first guys to show up at accidents too. So unless it's bad. So,
but are those people, are they trained too?
Yeah.
They
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they can take accident reports and shit like that. So, you know, you get...
Well, I mean, life-saving shit.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. But they show up if, like, hey, you know, somebody scratched my car in the parking lot. Is anybody dead? No. Is anybody hurt? No. Okay, then that guy will come.
Then you get a green car.
You get a green car, yeah. You fighting with the other car owner? No. We got it all worked out. We're just waiting for you. You get the green car.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But... yeah, that and state troopers. State troopers actually in this state are really rare too. There are not very many of them. So
in the entire state?
In the entire state.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are not very many of them. They're the only ones who roll alone too.
Well, because their whole thing is their highway, right?
Their highway. Yeah.
That's the whole that's their
the whole thing.
yeah.
But if you got like a rural sheriff's department that's having trouble, the staties will help. You know,
oh yeah.
So, but they're very, you know, they're highway patrol is what they do. That's why it says that on their car.
Right. Well, I mean, the weird thing is you and I have done so much traveling that we know that. So when you tell somebody the highway, right, there's one they think of here, right? The one that goes straight through town.
Yeah.
Right. But if you think about it, there are so many highways that it's like, well, this is just a 2-lane highway. This is,
Oh yeah.
all the things
Tons of
between the little, cities. Like, actually, if you think about it, those guys have more ground to cover than anybody in this state. It's just that, I guess it's a rarer occurrence than you think. I mean, it's.
Well, yeah, like highway shootouts are non-existent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they do happen, but it's extremely rare. So, most of the time it's like set up a speed trap here because this local town is like, a kid got hit last week or something. Yeah. So
one of those little like commemorative crosses popped up on the side of the road.
They're everywhere, man. Those are like. Yeah, you get down to the southern part of the state, they're all over the fucking place, man. You get in the Catholic part of the state.
Where? Are you talking about?
Anything south of here.
Pueblo?
Oh, yeah, okay. Pueblo, go down to Walsenburg. They're all around the interstate. So, shit, there's one at the gas station right over here. So, the one that we never go to anymore. So, the old Diamond Shamrock. So, there's one right there.
Look, I get it. I mean, and you're right. You just mentioned that... you just mentioned a second ago the population of this area, and it's really like, I know that sounds like kind of like dismissive. I don't want to come across that way, but you'd think that the times that happens is actually very small.
What? Somebody get killed on the interstate? Mm. It is, if you take into consideration like how many cars go past a certain place in a certain time of day. It's very, very rare, but it does happen enough. Like, I mean, I've been trapped on the interstate several times because somebody was dead.
Yeah.
So, and that sucks because it's like, oh, well, like all the lanes are closed up. You're not going nowhere, buddy.
Yep.
In fact, that's the one time I Dukes of Hazzard it across the median.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
but when you take into consideration the sheer amount of traffic and the sheer amount of variables that happens, all the time, it's amazing how infrequent
it is. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's rare by any mathematical breakdown.
No, and I mean, like, roads are safer, cars are safer, people are generally safer. So generally, it's not the 1970s where it was still legal to drink and drive.
That is. Did you ever see that footage of it when they did that in the UK?
Oh no, I did see where they changed the law in Wyoming, and it's like, well, what am I going to do driving home now if I can't have a beer?
Dude, it was killer. I was laughing. So you're watching all these Brits when they're enacting this, and I guess they were doing interviews with people coming out of a bar the night before it went into effect.
Oh, so this was set the record.
So this is basically like this is your last night, and the questions. The defiance of these Brits was really cracking me up because they were like, they're explaining it's like, well, this is going to be like this tomorrow. It's like, I guess we'll see, won't we?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people like, they're going to have to catch me, won't they? And in hindsight, it's when you're talking about drinking and driving, this is something where you say, actually, this should be a no-brainer.
This should be a no-brainer.
But it's not. It's just not.
It's just not. Well, they have all the problems with, like how stoned is too stoned to drive right now. It's almost impossible to tell. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, eventually they'll figure it out because that's a no-brainer too. Should you be actually driving when you're just completely fucking rocked out of your mind on fucking mushrooms? No.
Probably not.
Probably not, yeah.
I'm not a doctor,
I'm not a doctor. Don't take my word for it. So
it doesn't seem bright. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that all goes.
Yeah. No, there's That's just a theme that I keep running into. Is like everybody wants to, like I have a buddy and I met him last week. He was from my graduate program. He's a good dude, man. I really like him. So, but he's getting into the mushrooms now, man. So it's just like
A lot of people are.
yeah. I was like, why? Why? It's like it's cool. I was like, okay. I think guns are cool, and so
Well,
is it just come down to that? Is it just cool, or does it provide you with something, or is it no different than me getting sloshed on beer like twice a week? I don't know.
so my understanding of this, and this is coming from people that went to the conference,
The psilocybin one,
Yeah. Is I guess this is the new thing that they're investigating in terms of having a lot of therapeutic benefits.
yeah. Okay.
Now, where that crosses over to, hey, my friend does mushrooms, well, you take it for what it's worth.
Well, he's a counselor, so
Right.
I mean, I think that's where he's trying to take it, but I don't know, man. I just seen this rodeo before. I mean, I did all that research on
Yeah.
weed, and like I've heard all that. I went to the conferences for that.
Yeah.
Where like okay, it starts out, and the very first one you go to, it's serious, and you got guys in white lab coats, and business guys who want to
Right.
invest, and you got the whole like this is a sob story of this little girl who was I mean yes cured by this stuff I suppose at least she feels better, got it,
Right.
kind of thing, but that's not scientific proof. And then it was like, oh, this is great. This is going to be a great industry, and there's so much potential for it, blah, 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 and stuff like that. And then you go to the next year, there's some of those guys still there, okay?
Are there sandals?
There are a lot of people selling sandals and talking about 3D printing with hemp. And, then it got to the point in time where it was like, so there were the serious scientists were no longer serious about cures. It was more so like, how do we concentrate THC, in these, so to make it more potent.
Yeah.
And then so the next year I went there, it was all flip flops and fucking beads.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was like, okay, I'm wasting my time.
As you do, because as soon as the pot people show up, they make a mockery of any kind of
I know, yeah, and
value that you can derive from it.
And I'm curious if that's going to happen to psilocybin. I don't know.
I guarantee it will.
You think so?
I guarantee it will.
I hope it doesn't, man, because that was kind of sad. Because there are a lot of people out there who are like serious about it, and then after they if people are talking about like different phases of the moon, man. Well, it was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll go back to doing like actual pharmaceutical science.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I got you there. But I mean, take what at its root. Okay. What is pot? What is it?
It's equivalent to beer, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
you do it to get fucked up.
No. What is it? What is it in the category of drugs? Where is it?
It's a Schedule 1, or no? I think it might be Schedule 2 now.
It's just an opiate. Well, I mean, it's
actually, I think it's classified as more dangerous than opiates. So
it's in the family.
Well, no, I know that, but there's actually you're talking about like the legal definition. The legal definition, I think it's as bad as cocaine and heroin.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I'm not talking about categories. I'm just talking about what is it, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just think about it this way. So if Denver was having a Percocet, basically
Percocet conference,
right? The first year, you'd have real doctors there talking about like, hey, this is great for pain management.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the second year, I guarantee you, those pot people would show up.
People would show up. It's like, yeah.
And the pot people are going to show up at the fucking psilocybin. They're going to, if they start investigating like toluene from like sniffing glue, they'll be there the next year. It's like a walking on sunshine.
Walking on sunshine, fucking huffing off, keyboard cleaner.
Yeah, because they're going to show up because you're talking about like the recreational drug culture. Nobody gives a fuck about. Like these are the people who always give your movement a bad name, right? These are the guys who come with those insufferable like posters and just
sign my petition, man.
Sign my petition. Yeah. Again, it's always like can we not get past this? Do we have to have the same, like, stupid colors? Do we have to have the same, like, do we all have to talk like we're from California? I mean, this is the stupid piece of this, is it rips away any legitimacy that you had with it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, there's something about psilocybin that has, like, a different, like, I don't know. It doesn't have the same history.
So I've heard. Oh,
that pot had, you know, because that in particular, I mean, everybody did that in high school at some point in time.
Right.
So everybody kind of knew what it was for. This one's got a little bit more of air of mystique in it, because not everybody did shrooms or LSD or anything like that. You know, so it is definitely a little bit different, but I'm sorry, man, it's got the samey feel to me a little. I just hope it doesn't go the same way. But yeah, like, I got an invite to, I don't think it was the same conference, but it was another thing that was talking about the economics of therapeutic psilocybin. That was a virtual one, though. I don't think that one was actually in Denver.
These people.
It might have been in Denver, but it might have been broadcast. I can't remember. So, but this was like last fall. Yeah. So, okay, maybe it was the same one. And that's because I had done some research for the pot one, and it was just like, no, I'm good. No. So, I don't need to.
Well, because you saw what happened to it.
I totally saw what happened to it, man. So, you know, it's fucking. They're all owned by cartels now, Jeff. So
I feel that would happen exactly the same way.
Oh yeah.
With any other.
Well, the pot one is different, man, because they had to figure out how do we actually take a federally scheduled substance and turn it into a legit business. In the meantime, we create a ginormous fucking loophole for the cartels to basically launder money through the Federal Reserve. So, which is hilarious.
People
always get sink flies, man. If you leave dishes in the sink, you get flies.
Speed runners always figure out where you left glitches behind, man. They always do.
Fucking speed runners. Just like, I didn't even know that you could clip through that wall.
I don't know. Sometimes with laws, I feel like you should bake in a 5-year review period, you know, and just say that, hey, we have these theories. We're going to let this experiment run for 5 years, and then we're going to see if we renew it.
Yeah.
Because if we find something that we can't close very well, we want to be able to just say, like, hey, that didn't work. All right, that's cool.
Yeah. No, that's entirely possible, man. I mean, I'm sure they've done that in the past where they the tax cuts are coming up next year.
Yeah.
So those are sunsetted after 5 years. I mean, I think those probably have a fucking snowball's chance in actually passing again.
Here?
Yeah. Well, no, in the United States, yeah.
Oh,
so getting through the Congress, no fucking way. So, because nobody's going to have 60. So, nobody's going to be even close to 60 in the Senate. So, in order to pass that.
Oh, that was the other thing we were talking about. Yeah, that was one other thing that I saw that was so stupid. Some fucking idiot. Because there was again, talking about the child tax credit. Were again, it was something that was like, Vance didn't even show up for the vote here on this one, and it got shot down. So obviously he doesn't care. I'm like, well, no. If you read the article that you gave me, that you linked. It was a 48 to 44 vote, right?
Oh, it's irrelevant.
Well, and that was the thing. Like, it needs 60 votes to not be filibustered by his own stupid party.
Right.
Like, so...
What was it? That was for the child... That was for the tax credit?
Yeah, this was basically to extend the child tax credit way past COVID.
Yeah.
And...
people have got that guy kind of wrong, though, man. So, you know, like the tax credit thing and his natalism position, it's not a policy position.
No.
It's not. And, like, I mean, he explains that fairly well in his book, which nobody read. So, you know, but it's just, it's like, you know, I mean, that's why it's called an elegy. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, yeah, some of the attacks that I've seen on him are a little bit ridiculous. Some of them are a little bit more legit than others. So, I think I think he's too. I think his time has come a little early. So, If Donald Trump loses this fall, he'll still be around for a while. And that's the one kind of like silver lining to that, because he's still got 2 years left in his Senate term.
Yeah.
And then running on a platform, a national platform, I mean, it's very rare that you get booted.
Right.
After something like that. So he'll be around for a while, at least. So,
well, I don't want to say that he's been... All right.
But he's made a lot of dumbass mistakes. So that are just like... You should have people around you who scrub that before you post that.
Well,
you know.
All right.
What do you mean you didn't check out your Twitter history? Come on, man.
Well, this is the thing. All right, so, all right, this is like a completely like different age, right? And so this is to me, like the whole thing about this is all these things that would have gotten you scrubbed in '92 are virtually meaningless.
Yeah, they are.
Right. So, like, when I sit there and look at things, because if I can't tell you how many times I've come across something that's still posted and like, that would have killed you in '92.
Totally.
That would have killed you in '96.
Yeah.
That would have killed you in 2000, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there's this thing, and I'm not blaming this on Bill Clinton or anything. This is just the way society goes. Like,
well, Bill Clinton deserves credit for that.
I mean, that's the fact that
he's the guy who basically said, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to quit, and you guys will all forget about it." And he was right.
He was. And as they said at the time, they said, like, well, you're America. You're not Britain, and you're not France. Because if you were in Britain, he would have resigned. If you were in France, they wouldn't have even brought it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? But you're America, so you have to do something in between. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a fascinating point.
It used to be valid.
But see, I don't see that as the same situation here. Like, if I comb through the things that like Vance has done and said, I'm like, I don't see anything more stupid than anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, every one of you, like, the two major candidates, like, you'd be crucified in the past for things that you've said and done.
Oh, yeah. Well, Donald Trump is the guy he's like Bill Clinton's understudy in that. I mean, he's the guy who actually took over the class after he retired.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it just doesn't work like that anymore. I mean, like, we have special candidates who get that consideration, and then we have others that don't. Okay. And then it's just an excuse to get rid of that guy.
Correct.
So, you know, and so, yeah, if you find something that Ron DeSantis said, 8 years ago and different out of context, it's like, oh, let's beat him up. And, and that like kind of shows how weak of a candidate he was in some respects, because like a lot of people on his side were like, yeah, we need to get rid of him, kind of thing. So, but who knows? Maybe he'll be back around too.
Well, it's a question of, so DeSantis needs to stay right where he is, and he needs to not change. He needs to not, be anything different, because ultimately here, like, there may come a time here in the next 20 years, right, when what they're looking for is someone that seems a little bit more like, all right, what's your long-term record? What did you do for your state? Where did you stand on this? Right? This is what I was talking about, like the pulling up the pants, suits guys. But they might not. They might not.
You never know, man.
It's hard to say. It's the fact that the jackasses running right now. Look, I'm calling this from both sides, right? I'm calling this from both sides. Nothing there is ideal. Nothing there is the dumbest argument that I saw at all, okay, was there were a bunch of guys basically like hand waving like a bunch of stuff that Tim Walz has done, right? And they're saying like, you got to look past this, right? And the whole point for me is like, no, you don't. It doesn't matter if it's their candidate or your candidate. You'd never look past this, because the whole thing is the more you excuse, the worse candidates you get.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? and that's the thing is, where are we right now? We're at the results of hand-waving so many things and saying, nah, this isn't a big deal. This isn't a big... and some things aren't a big deal. But letting certain things go, like, this is why we are where we are. This is why nobody... if you ask them down to their core, right? You say, like, are these the people that you'd want to be president? And you say, like, nobody will hear you say this. Nobody will know what you said. Tell me the truth. Is this what you saw as your presidential candidate? Nobody would say yes. in their heart of hearts, they'd be like,
probably not.
I
don't know. I know some guys who are pretty diehard Trump fans, so they just like the guy.
They like the guy.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
But if you ask them, like, is this what you'd see as your president? They'd probably say no.
Probably not. Yeah. I don't know. I've never asked that question directly. So it's like, if you could change something about Donald Trump, what would you change? I've never had someone say nothing.
That's what I mean, right? Because if anything, all right. So if you could change one thing about Donald Trump, what would that be?
I'd probably rewind about 20 years on him. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, not in terms of taking it back to a former state. Like, if you could change something about take the man as is, if you could change an aspect of his personality or something like that.
Oh, not really. Yeah, change the aspect of his personality.
Yeah, what would you change to say, like, hey, this is who you are, but if you did this or you were this, I'd prefer this from my leadership.
Honestly, I wish he didn't lie. So, because he lies in ways that are dumb. They're easy to catch. They make him look stupid because everybody knows he's lying. So, and all he's doing it is because he's a classic guy who lies about things because that's what he wishes was true. So, that's it. And it's so easy to see once you spot it. Like, none of his lies are terribly dangerous. They're just dumb. Well, and so it makes him look dumb, and it gives everybody ammo to throw at him. So, but when he turns around and says, my crowd was bigger than MLK's crowd, it's like, shut the fuck up, bro. Well, shut the fuck up. That's patently untrue. I mean, you think that photo was in 1963? Come the fuck on, bro. Come on, man. So, and it's just like, it's like little things like that really kind of, it's just like, no, man, you're not a serious person because of that.
That's sort of, all right. I wish that he basically had a serious time toggle. That's sort of my thing, is like, the personality is what works for a lot of people, but there's a version of this where you have to turn around and say, like, you know what, gazillion isn't a real number. And I have to...
You just made that up, didn't you?
Well, and again, just like...
Gazillion. I like that.
No, well, because again, when he starts
gazillion immigrants,
because when they fact check it and they say wrong, a gazillion people did not cross the border. Because he gets into that showman mode where it's like, where he cannot stop from like hyperbole, where it's it's the best it's been in 50 years. I'm like, has it? And that's the thing that they can check. It's like, this is the greatest thing that's happened this century. It's like, they can fact check that, right? Now, if he had a mode where like you could just push that aside, it's like, all right, serious time. All jokes aside, I need to talk.
Right, dad time. Yeah, exactly. No, he doesn't.
Dad time. Yes. Yeah.
He doesn't do that. So I thought he might do it with his disaster interview with Musk the other night.
Well, that wasn't an interview.
I know it wasn't.
No, so I listened to it.
Yeah, he needs to get in front of people who don't like him. He's much better. So,
well, to be honest, I thought it was kind of boring.
Yeah, it was. So,
I mean, that was the thing. There was, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely nothing controversial was said, but it was it didn't reinforce anything that you didn't already know. And
no, but I mean, you blew a really good chance to actually talk to somebody. And Musk needs to stop interviewing people. He's terrible at it. So
he's
yeah.
I like him as a guy. He's not.
I admire his brain. I think that his I'm asking you a question here,
right?
In a minute,
and the long pauses, and then the like.
He's definitely on the spectrum, man. He's got a weird timing in his humor that is just not normal.
There's that, and again, it's the changes in it's like he's like resetting code like every time. It's weird, and he'll get to that at the beginning of the sentence. It's like but historiographically.
See, he wouldn't have that sense of timing. Like, he'd be historiographically. You know? Yeah, no.
When you ask the woman to choose between the man and the bear, when the bear,
dude, that's pretty spot on.
Well, I listened to it for like 2 hours. Now, granted, I was doing other shit. I'm like, I wouldn't like. There's no version of this where I just sit down like this isn't a fucking fireside chat.
No. I was wrenching my cars while I was listening to it.
So it's for me. I'm like, all right, well, maybe there's some insight, and you know what? At least it's the problems with that is if you want to show Donald Trump and a human, like, there's a clip.
The golf video is the best.
So the golf video there's one,
absolutely the fucking best.
There's one that they've just been showing of. I don't know if he's in a restaurant, but everybody's like coming up to him to like sign something, and the way like people are coming is like, give me that baseball.
The one with the $20 bill.
I think
with the kid who's like, you better say, hang on to that. It's worth something now.
Yeah. So if you ran this, okay, you're done because it was like this is the person I like.
Yeah,
because he's like. Well, this is awesome. It's like, so where is he right now?
Yeah.
Oh, he's serving overseas? Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's really cool. You, you go over, it's like, you take a picture, get in this picture. Mom, you come
get over here.
When he calls people like mom, right? That's.
No, he's they need to do more of that, man. But I mean, like, he is his own worst enemy. And so, he's been doing that in the last couple of days where he's gyrating.
Yes.
And it's just like, we've all seen this before. We know what you're doing. You're getting you're all tied up in knots here, because of crowd size and poll numbers and stuff like that. And,
don't worry about that for a second.
But dude, his entire life is audience and ratings. So I mean, you can't tell an 78-year-old man to turn that shit off. So we're just gonna see, man. If he gets out of his funk, he'll be fine. But if he doesn't, then. We'll have President Harris. So
this is and again
we have yet to see what she's doing. A smart thing, man. She's playing keep away with the press, and that is she's got them right where she wants them. And I have to give her credit for that. That is actually smart baseball. If it's slimy, it is still smart baseball.
Well, no, it's not. The problem here, okay, this is you don't fault somebody for doing something that you can get away with.
Yes,
this is the problem. Is that. Your accomplices right now are letting you get.
They're totally letting her get
press.
Away with it. Yeah.
If they had any sense of responsibility, would be dragging her.
Well, you got to define what you mean by the press.
I mean the legacy media.
Yeah,
all
but
the offshoots of it. Fuck them.
I get that, but that's a small piece of this landscape now, man. So if you actually break it down by numbers, yes, okay, so. CNN's been trying to get after her a little bit. MSNBC is totally in the coots with this. So is NBC. So, and then the New York Times.
Letting her slide.
ABC's kind of letting her slide, but they at least they're playing careful with her because they've got a debate scheduled with her. So you don't want to lose that. So, but like Fox News, man. So. She's smart to not let them anywhere near her. So, because they would totally do that. And more people watch that fucking channel than all three of the other ones. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we talk about the media, so there is a wild boar out there that will gore her. So if it gets the chance, and she'll eventually have to face that thing down. So in one way or another, okay. And I'm waiting for that moment. So to see what she actually does, because Tim Walz ain't afraid of any of them. He's been on them all over the fucking place.
Well, he hasn't given any interviews either.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. I saw one yesterday.
No, he hasn't done any pressers.
Oh no, not a presser, but he
hasn't done any pressers.
He did a sit-down interview yesterday. I don't know who it was with, but it was pretty lengthy, and they asked him some pretty brutal questions. So it might have been Frontline. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, it was pressers. He has not done.
I haven't seen a presser. So
all right.
See, that's where Donald Trump's the best. He needs to get back out there. He doesn't need to do his rambling fucking MAGA like red meat to the crowd speeches because they're dumb and we all know them at this point in time. But when he gets up there and fields questions, he's fantastic. He is absolutely brutal.
This is okay. This is So you go with what they bring you, okay?
Yeah.
And so right now, what they're doing is they're keeping her in the basement for a couple of reasons.
She's keeping herself. She is doing this.
No, it's my understanding is that. All right, so there's two things I read this week.
Okay.
Okay. One comes from former staffers.
Okay.
Okay. And the other one comes from somebody on the inside, something like that, where they've been talking about what they've been recommending for her to do.
Who is they?
Is somebody on her staff right now.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
she picked her campaign chief and kept her against the advice of Obama, Clinton, and all these people. So I think very much so she's actually in control. If you have evidence to the otherwise, let me know.
Okay, so there's two things that I heard this week that actually fit this very, very well, okay? Because you and I talked about it. Her staff turnover was ridiculous.
Except for this one person
Well,
she really likes.
And here's the thing, is the way that they described her was a very angry person
I've heard that.
who never does her homework.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard that part.
Specific. They said like she never does her homework. Like this was they talked to a bunch of different people. Like, she just doesn't. She won't.
Okay.
And this is one of the reasons why she finds herself giving these dumbass answers. Is
Yeah, she's trying to sound smart when
you
there's nothing
didn't
there.
do the fucking reading.
Yeah, I know,
right?
yeah.
So she doesn't get educated on
That's
the topics.
exactly what it is. You
No,
didn't
it is.
read it.
This is a book report of something that you didn't read. Like, you think as teachers we can't fucking see this? I'm like, come on, man. Like, even if you read the Spark Notes on Treasure Island, you'd have more of the details correct.
Yeah, but that I think that lens supports the idea that she's actually in charge because she's making that call.
Well,
If David Plouffe was in charge of her campaign, he'd make her do her homework.
well,
So,
well, that's why she retained this person because she can boss them around. But
there you go.
the trick is like, all right, so if she's not giving press interviews, if she's not actually doing this, and you don't have to take her apart, then you say, well, what is it that people know about her? Well, truth is, people don't like her. And when I say they don't like her, there's two specific things they don't like. And this is going to sound
I think
pedantic.
she's mean. So
Well, it's not just the mean. It's not just the chameleon thing where it's like you do all this. Okay, the biggest thing here is they hate her attitude. They hate, number one, they hate her voice, which is, I can tell you which region of California this comes from.
yeah, it's very clear.
All right, and they hate the fucking like nasally like pretend erudite version of this that it comes. They hate that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. And when it comes down to, like, the arrogance and stuff on this that shows, like, okay, well, if she's giving you this, okay, then what you see is, I have her on issues. That doesn't matter. She's going to have to come to me on that.
Yeah.
But my job here is to just be more likable than she is.
Whose job? Trump?
Trump.
Yeah.
Just be more likable than she is.
He might figure that out. I mean, I'm not going to write him off, man.
He's not doing that.
It doesn't mean he won't. I mean,
No.
he's still got lots of
It's like
time.
you and I talked about. It's like,
Never count that dude out, man.
no,
I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't. Look, I'm going to put it out there. I don't really see when election day comes. I do not see a victory out of her. I don't.
I think it's entirely possible if he doesn't shape up. So if he loses the election, he's got nobody to blame but himself.
Well, this is this is the thing. Is the way I'm putting this here is she will hang herself.
She might. Yeah.
Within the next 85 days. Okay,
might.
that's all I'm saying because it's new. She hasn't like that.
Yeah, I know.
I'll put it like that.
She's basically been a piece of furniture for the last 3.5 years. I get it.
Well, it's not just that. It's also that right now, because she got jumped in, right? And because she didn't have to do the work, she got a lot of people, like, on their own, okay? When you've got fucking Samwise Gamgee saying, hey, you know...
You can do it, Mr. Frodo.
Yeah, he did. It's like, I came straight from the airport. I didn't see my family. I started stumping for her right away, right? You don't have to do the work because now people are soft doing it for you, okay? So that's the thing is, yes, you have that going on, okay? As soon as that novelty wears off, okay, and you actually have to be on stage, okay, I'm gonna tell you, they're supposed to hash this out on September 10th, okay?
What is that? Is that a debate day?
Yes, they're supposed to hash.
I think you have one or two.
Okay.
Right now, I know they've committed to one. So that's the ABC one, right? I think it is.
Remember.
Because Trump said in that big press conference he did last Friday that he'll do them all. So...
Yeah, he said there's 3 that I'll do.
Okay.
She's only agreed to the 10th.
Okay.
But I don't know what's going on with the other ones. But I know that Vance and Walz are basically in a shouting match of like, you're a pussy, no, you're a pussy.
Dude,
right
nobody
now.
gives 2 fucks about the vice president debate.
Because that's why I said, like, you guys would be best to hash this out on Xbox Live. And people ran with that.
I'm going to report you. You got swastikas in your fucking...
People thought the concept of Walz and Vance settling this 1v1 in COD was hilarious.
Yeah, that's much better.
And I would watch that.
I would totally watch that.
I would watch that not just in lieu of a debate, but so yeah. So I think that when Joe Biden, here's the thing, he fell off a cliff, okay, at the debate, okay, even to the part where the party is like where we have to prepare to remove him, and I think when this moron is actually up there on the stage, okay, and people have to listen to what she's saying, I think she's gonna get flustered the same way.
She might,
because here's the thing, anybody that doesn't do the homework before won't do it now, because to her
probably not. I mean, it is her shot, so she might.
No,
you never know.
Remember what you just said about Trump a second ago? He's a 78-year-old man. This bitch is 60. Okay, and here's the thing: for her, in the same way, think about where she is right now. All right, she got fucking power dunked out of the primaries. Okay, Tulsi Gabbard made her look like a fucking idiot.
I saw her on. She had an interview. Who was it with the other day?
Probably on Fox.
No, it was a long form one.
Oh,
it might have been Chris Williamson. Yeah, it was. It was Chris Williamson. You got to tell me what you like about her sometime, because I don't get it. But anyway,
the thing I like about her is that for a long time, okay, she's like, I don't know. She has a little bit too much Republican light in her right now for being a Democratic candidate. But I always like party members that are willing to call out flaws in their own party.
Okay, all right.
Right?
That's a rabbit hole. We don't need to go down that tonight. But I was just curious what your top line was on that.
It's what...
That's fine.
It's the same way that it puts her with Fetterman. Is
yeah, okay.
You have your party, but you absolutely do not call... I mean, he's just like, no, that's dumb. It's like, people don't want this. You guys are crazy, right?
Ronald Reagan did that.
Yeah. I told
George W. Herbert Walker Bush did that.
Anybody
and
that's
he lost.
Hey, sometimes
it's like, hey boys, we need to pay for this little war we had. Deficits don't matter.
No. You're right. You're right.
It did happen.
It really matters when you campaign on.
John McCain was the guy who actually forced through earmark reform too. So, all right, I get that. So, but I don't know, shit. She's fucking nuts, dude. But anyway. So.
Well, but anyway, so you're talking about a woman who basically lost all the primaries. Okay, still found herself failing upwards enough from the point where it's like, all right, well, if I just go ahead and fuck around Willie Brown, I'm gonna fail my way upwards. The thing is, much like Trump, for 60 years of her life, it's always worked out. And when people...
That's an interesting parallel. I hadn't thought of
It's
that.
the same thing that Trump does. Why does he never change what he does? Well, because he's never failed at stuff like this, where it's like...
Well, one time. There was that one time.
How did he handle it?
Poorly.
Agreed. You see what I'm saying?
I got you.
He didn't turn around
that's consistent. Yeah,
okay?
I got you.
When people get in a point where everything seems to be working, right? This is why he came around. It's like, well, I didn't lose.
Right.
You all cheated.
You all cheated. Yeah.
Right? Much in the same way that in 2016, Hillary Clinton said, I didn't lose.
You all cheated.
You all cheated.
Yeah.
Right? So he's... Because it's always worked. I mean, you look at this guy and say, like, you've had so many hot women in your life. You've had so much money.
You've been married to many of them, yes.
Married to many of them. You've been president once. You're on the verge of doing it again with a space in between. Maybe. Okay. No, he's gonna be one of two people. In the contest,
right. Yeah.
Right. So as far as anybody's concerned, it's like everything I've done has worked.
Yeah.
And in Kamala Harris's case, it's the same thing.
That's an interesting parallel I hadn't really thought about. That's a good one, man. I'm gonna have to think about that a little bit more. But
brother, remember how much turnover Trump had in his team when he first got in?
In his White House, yeah.
Yes.
So some of those were unforced errors, but but a lot of it, like, God, man, I still see Anthony Scaramucci running around out there talking about how he knows Trump. I was like, you worked for him for fucking 3 days, you know? I was like, what are you're just grifting. So
was Omarosa. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. From fucking that show he used to do, the You're Fired show, The Apprentice.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and she was part of it. She was there for like a week.
She was there for like a week.
Yeah, that. Yeah. That dude moved a whole ton of things because if you're not agreeing, right?
Yeah, you're out.
You're gone. And why have all these people been shooed out of her campaign except for the one person she likes? Because it's the one person that's like, no, you're doing awesome.
Yeah.
You're doing awesome. You're doing awesome.
She actually like resisted a lot of pressure from, you know, your power players in the Democratic Party. So, which we need to be specific. That's 3 fucking people. It's not they. It is 3 fucking people, and we know who they are. So, and Chuck Schumer ain't one of them, man. So.
You know what?
It's 3 fucking people.
Chuck Schumer thinks he's one of them.
They've got him buffaloed because they will rip him to pieces and take away his sweet corporate gigs if he doesn't play ball with them. So, and there's like the other guy in Ohio, Sherrod Brown. He's the same way. So, you know, I've heard for 10 years these rumors about, you know, skeletons in his closet that exist, but I guarantee there's 3 fucking people who know exactly what those things are. So,
look, man, okay.
3 fucking people.
So, all right,
and Joe Biden ain't one of them. He's not one of the cool kids no more. He's done. It's just, like after what is it? So inauguration day is January 20th. You will never see another Joe Biden story until he dies.
Right.
You will not see another one.
He is Carter. He ain't. He will
no. Even if he does go build houses, nobody will cover it.
There is no version of Joe Biden that can build a house.
Well, whatever he decides to do, maybe he's really good at, like, I don't know, crochet or something. Whatever. Okay, and he knits blankets for like refugees. I don't know, but regardless of what good he does, if any. So after January 20th, 2025, you will not see, this is a prediction I feel confident in. You will never see another story about Joe Biden until his obituary. So
I think you're taking a really high percentage shot right there. I think
it's less than 0.
Listen, I'm not. You're not a 3 from half court right now. Okay, you are.
Yeah, I know. I've got a ladder and a fucking ball, and
what you just said there is the most uncontested layup. Yeah. I think
it is, totally is, man. The fact that I got the hook and pulled the thing down.
Yeah. So I'm not. There's nothing resembling an argument going to come out of me from this here, right? Yeah. What I will say here is, yeah, this is the thing that they're contending with here, and I just don't. She does not have. There is nothing about her that any fucking advisor that remembers the hot sauce debacle from 2016 would say, don't put on affectations or accents to please your crowd. It never works. If you're not from there, don't do it.
But if the crowd cheers her, she won't give a fuck. So, you know.
They cheered. That's the thing. They cheered for Hillary Clinton when she did that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay?
It didn't
pan out for her. Same thing when she said, like, somebody would say, whatever you do. And she hasn't done it yet. She has not told people they're her abuela. Okay? She hasn't done that yet. Okay?
Who did that?
Hillary Clinton.
Oh, okay. I thought that was George W. for a second.
No, I'm saying it as caucasoidally as possible.
Right. From Westchester.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
So, like, real advisor would say, look, here's a list of things that haven't worked in the past. Don't do them. And when your person is like, I've got this.
I don't know how much advice she's getting along those lines. I mean, I know she's getting a lot of it, but it's being lobbed from her. From the fucking New York Times.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like, the question is, how much of it does she listen to? So, I don't know. It'll be an interesting season. So, you know, we still got 80-some days, 90 days, or whatever. So, we'll have at least one debate. That'll be interesting. So, someone else might take a shot at Donald Trump again. So
they might,
bro. That story is fascinating. So it is just
the holes and the
Secret Service needs to be like freaking. It needs to extract itself from the grip of the Department of Fatherland Security, which is the most incompetent fucking arm of the government out there. So, you know, they had like whistleblower testimony.
Fatherland Security.
It is the fucking Department of Fatherland Security, man. It's terrible. It's just as stupid as the SS is too, you know? You got fucking nice blue uniforms over there, buddy. It doesn't mean you can do anything with them. So it's just it's awful because it used to be an extremely professional organization. Yeah. So when it was under the Treasury, and then you know, fucking our guy was the Pena, so pulled him into the Department of Fatherland Security when it was created under W. So along with the Coast Guard needs to weigh anchor and get the fuck out. So it's like, you can't dictate to us from a fucking offshore, bitch. So, but anyway.
It's just you do have some contempt, man.
I have some contempt for that department. That department makes the rest of the fucking federal government look stupid. So, and they're not. So, because the one thing that did come out of the shooting that was really interesting is it actually might, and this is like me going into conspiratorial territory here, which is rare. The Iranians might have actually tried to do that. Did you see that?
Yes. I mean,
they can't crack some of that kid's shit, man. So
there's look, man. There's so many.
He might have been promised virgins in a different land, Jeff.
He might. Again, this is
busted a guy. So
unreal. Look, there are so many. What I'm finding out here. Okay, this is, and I think this is the same thing that your that your investigations and your time spent with this here is. The more I see, the more I trust our local police.
Oh yeah,
because I feel as though if
did you see the body cam footage?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Like anybody who wants to give that cop shit, get in line, man, because we're all gonna kick your ass. So yeah.
Here's the thing, man, is I feel like if this were actually just left to local cops, this wouldn't happen.
Probably not. So the fact that he couldn't even get a hold of the Secret Service while he's sitting there panting on the radio is just absolutely horrifyingly bad. So, you know, but then if you go into the testimony, and they had the whistleblower stuff the other day about the guy who, you know, is like, hey, look, we've had a lot of cuts. There's been a lot of changes going on. There's a lot of bureaucratic bullshit. You know, it's much more difficult to deal with local police departments because we don't reimburse them the way that we used to, and all this different shit. It's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, somebody needs to lose their job. And not just the lady who quit, you know, but a bunch of you other guys. In fact, who's in charge of the Secret Service at Homeland Security? Would that be the secretary? So we need you to come down here to Congress and answer some questions, buddy. So, you know.
Okay. Oh, no, I have to sidetrack on this. It was
that's fine.
No. It's something that. It's the 6 stages of, the 6 levels of white anger.
Oh, jeez.
Let me see if I can find that here.
Am I moving up the list?
I don't. Well, you just said something. So, The 6 levels of white anger ranked are number 6, son of a gun. Number 5, all right, bucko.
Oh, okay.
Number 4...
That's basically an okay buddy.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, no, hold on. So, number 4 is you just hold your horses. Number 3 is, well, now wait just a minute.
Oh, right, yeah.
Number 2 is newsflash, pal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And number 1 is listen here, buddy.
Oh, okay.
Now,
okay, I went right to the
You
one.
went straight to
sorry.
1. Now, I have seen where the number 1 spot has been replaced with a picture of the killdozer. And
so I'm working on my diesel license lately.
So
you take another trip down the scrapyard tomorrow. So you got those 3 bags of concrete out there that you were going to use to dig post holes. So you still using those? Take them off your hands for you.
Right. Is there anything you need in trade? I got extra tires.
Yeah.
No,
man, there's something there that's just not.
Does it stink?
No, it stinks of incompetence, man. Is what it does.
Right.
It stinks of like. I mean, I know enough about like ineffectual organizations to realize that this thing is a 10-armed octopus that, has 6 different brains. So, and everybody's trying to save their own ass on this one. And quite honestly, some of those arms just need to be chopped off. So, because quite honestly, it's just, it's gotten ridiculous how much money they spend. Then that's how that thing with Tulsi Gabbard came up, because Matt Taibbi dropped all that shit the other day. About the TS. Well, see, that didn't surprise me. So I knew about this Sky Marshal program like 20 fucking years ago.
Well, yeah. Well, it used to be different. It was pre 9/11 had a different.
No, after 9/11. There was no such thing pre 9/11. So it did not exist.
It said there was.
Huh?
They said there was.
Who said there was?
Back in the day, they used to say that there was that occasionally people would travel
armed.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there was a prisoner on the fucking plane.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that guy's in chains, so everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
He used to put a, fucking coat over his hands.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. So, yeah, fine. All right, but no, they didn't have, undercover Sky Marshals before 9/11. That's an after 9/11 thing.
Right.
So I remember the Sky Marshal program when it started up. There were a lot of people who wanted to get into it, airport cops and security dudes and stuff like that. And so I didn't spend that much more time in the airlines. I was there, maybe 4 more years after 9/11? So, something like that. But they burned through all of them within the first couple of years, because it's basically just get on a plane and do nothing. So, and then get on a different plane and do nothing. And then get on a different plane and do nothing. Okay? And so there's a whole lot of nothing. And then so what they did start doing after that is they would look for aircraft that had a higher concentration of selectees on it. Okay, people who paid cash for their tickets.
Okay.
People who paid this, and people who actually only purchased a one-way ticket. If there were a bunch of those on a plane, it would get a Sky Cop. Okay, a Sky Marshal. This was not fucking. This was not unknowable. Okay, it wasn't exactly advertised, but you could definitely figure this out. Okay, and so for them to graduate from that and say, "Hey, you know what? Someone might actually try and fucking hurt Tulsi Gabbard. Let's put a guy on that plane." Okay, they're not following her. Okay, they're just looking at threats out there. Now, I will change. You said the other day, what would it take to change your mind? If there is direct evidence that the TSA fed that to the DNC, okay, I'm going to change my mind on that then. Okay,
I would have no way to get that information.
Well, I don't know, but Matt Taibbi might. I have no idea. So that is not. He's really good.
God bless him for still actually doing journalism.
He still is, and he goes on things. It's like, well, I'd rather have you talk about this. And he's like, no, I want to talk about this because it's important. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's what journalism is supposed to be. It's supposed to every single day. Tell me where the polls are.
It doesn't fucking matter because
I know, but it don't feed me what I want to eat.
I know,
yeah, so this is. It shouldn't be a buffet. Okay.
No, it's supposed to be medicine. It's
supposed to be medicine. If it's a buffet, I'm going to go for the bacon and the pancakes every single time. I'm going to put syrup on only the pancakes. Because, Jeff, there's another thing that you're completely right about. Syrup on meat products is an affront to God himself.
You wanna You want to say it?
Yeah. I'm sorry. You were right.
No. I was going to say we can. You
Is
don't.
that a good place to stop?
I'm going to say you don't have to admit to anything. We can just close up shop right there.
All right, I'm Pat.
All right, I'm Jeffrey.
Affront to God.
All right.